Hello. Hello. Currently have Google Earth pulled up. And today we're looking at Central Africa, specifically Chad, landlocked country, as we continue to look in and around the region of Nigeria, a country of over 230 million people, and the wildfires that are currently surrounding the country, as Chad is reportedly having a bit of an outbreak of wildfires, brush fires, bush fires, different fires, different stages. We'll be able to look at them. But as for now, we're going to go Chad. Alright. Alright, Google Earth, you did your thing. Now go. Currently just trying to get this. There we go. And today, looking at Chad. Okay. I'm going to clear that little drawing off. At 200 kilometers, go down a little bit further. Yeah, so this is perfect now. The need to see what I'm doing. The scan right here is perfectly straight through the middle of the country. Well, we could roll back time a few days and see the rest of the country. I think this is enough now. Like, this is a huge bulk of data. Okay. Let's start from the south as we left off last night from Cameroon to, I believe, South Sudan. I know Ethiopia having terrible issues. And we were looking at the White Nile River going up through Sudan, to South Sudan. So we didn't look at Ethiopia. We'll save that because I know Senegal to Cameroon had a lot of unexpected fires that were very visible and attention drawing. So we start back up in Central Africa. This is country of Chad. It's a landlocked country neighboring Nigeria, which is, as always, a country of great importance, of over 230 million people. So, surrounded by a lot of fire, a lot of brush fire, a lot of bush fire, and possibly wildfires. Difference is just size and the height. There's a lot of hilly slopes that fires will love to take advantage of around this area, especially going into a river or a ditch. I'm gonna zoom down to very south Chad. We can see wildfire right there. Spreads fast. It's scorching all this other land. A lot of burnings have been happening here. This doesn't look like farmland. These look like wildfires. A bushfire, brush fire, some farmer is burning his crop for the millionth time for some stupid fucking reason. Don't do it. Causing catastrophes. I think I swore. I didn't mean to swear. Promise. These fires are very recent. Ooh. Right here. That fire just comes on quick. We can expect these fires to continue burning. Actually, these do look like fields. These are potentially agricultural purposes, these fields, and they're being burned for reasons they can't defend any longer. Central Africa, India, Pakistan. 3 countries that are being completely marred by crops being burned and that smoke getting everywhere. Why would you burn land that's ripe with probably pesticides and put that in the air for all your people to breathe? These carcinogens go through the smoke. That's why we also focus on smoke when you see it. And right now, let's take a look. Not a lot of smoke, but you can see this massive river here. This is the Bar Sara. River runs very, very strong river. I've seen a lot of riverbanks and islands forming. See, fire and heat drives away water and moisture. You get enough wildfires that burn around the area of a river that polluted enough that excess runoff goes into these river systems as well. And thermally, they get heated to the point that they could kill fish inside these ecosystems. Whenever fire is being introduced to a local ecology, it isn't just the fields that are being burned that are targeted, but when the fire becomes wild, starts riding alongside a river system, it's going to start doing some damage to the local ecology that lives inside that river system. Let's take a look. As we can see here, skip down to the last slide. So I would say the river is the fire is going to do its job and start exposing more areas of ground that will absorb heat instead of the plants taking in some smoke, but not a lot. Just you can see how small these fires are. They start very tiny. 421 kilometers, that's the smallest fire I think I've seen this week on satellite. See, does it have a lot of smoke associated with it? Yes, it does. Pretty heavy smoke coming off these fires. You can see the perimeter right here. And that is next to a bunch of fields that look like they're previously burned. So, again, agricultural purposes, the fields are being burned. Central Africa, India, it is marring their country with pollution. Pollution that they didn't foresee, because you get pollution with your automobiles or factories, anything really. And it's, you put all this fire hazard in the area as you try to burn your crops for nobody can defend this. So if this is a result of crop burning, if they're trying to scorch more earth to be able to have more land for agricultural purposes, clear the land, burn the land, it's, you don't get that land back after stupid fucking avocados fail for the 5th time. But hey, at least you displaced 10,000 elephants and poisoned and sickened hundreds of people just by burning these. These got to be for agricultural purposes, these fires. Then they get out of control. But it's, even when they don't get out of control, it's a problem. Putting this into the air, it's a problem. Dead animals that have diseases that don't disappear for any reason besides extreme pressure. But heat drives smoke, and smoke just accumulates particulates and continues on its way and transits as it sees fit. But smoke doesn't move on its own. Smoke needs to be carried away. But smoke is also thrown up from the ground as it rips moisture and any kind of carbon being apart. You always get a sense of when fires, mean well. They meant well when they started these fires during a heat wave, during a fire season, during time where wildfires are, well, I gotta go back on that, because we were just looking at these fires in this very area, and you just slowly see them start building up, as in controlled burns. But when you're doing controlled burns for purposes of agricultural means, you're not going to have fire experts that are there. You're not going to have African wildland firefighters on site to be able to oversee these burns. It's just people fucking doing it. Like, oh, we got to clear this area here for these crops. I hope those crops can take in the water and the rain that is going to fall into the same area as that climate will allow. Instead, it's going to be flooding. A lot of flooding. I think of Florida. Florida has redwoods. Did you know that? Tallest tree 100 years ago was over 900 feet. Now the tallest tree is just under 300 feet. So seeing all these massive bush brush and wildfires clearing massive landscapes, carving them out across Central Africa, you don't get that back. You gotta let that land relax for 100 years before you can start using it again. But if these are also being used for cheap beef cattle, bovine disease is very prevalent. And prion disease, you can't uproot that. You can't burn that away. You can use napalm, and prion disease will still fester and linger and cattle sick. I'm just gonna play this one more time here. I don't see any fire here before. See, this is so close together. This could be just right here. It whips around, whips over the river, and fire is just going all the way down the river system here. It just looks like there was so many ignitions. I mean, you want to find a wildfire in Africa, just follow a river. These fires will get stuck in these loops. Take this. Fire gets right here. Use its own momentum. Ride it up, because you're gonna have air, wind that's blowing one way, and clockwise in this vortex in this ditch, or the air is going to be blowing clockwise or counterclockwise to what is driving the fire towards the river system. Pretty big burns. It shouldn't be this easy to find so many wildfires. I don't go in knowing where they're going to be. It's just alarming how well these fires stand out. Most of them are pretty recent, within the last few days. Like this one. It's a complex of fires, but you also have to worry about, from what we've seen, all the land in between here, the land in between these fires. You're going to have smoke that's accumulating, causing plumes and trails, and that's going to be acting as a blanket and keeping that heat under the smoke, allowing the fire to continue its path. Don't see any smoke, but Not surprising. See a lot of moisture locked in these river systems. Really problematic areas we saw here. Hope that shows up okay. This area right here looked to have been the first source of ignition, the fire that was here. And it burned west and south. Through the time lapse, we can tell just how far these fires spread. They go north, went over the river system west, and starts the mouth of this river. You can see a little bitty fire right here. Too tiny to really tell, but it's just right in the middle of that circle. That's going to be a new fire here. Unwieldy. You're not getting heavy machinery out here, and the wildland conflicts are just too severe. These are some massive blazes that are happening here in South Chad. East of Uma. North of Mayasala. I'm seeing a lot of fire activity just north of this too. North of it, south of it, east of it, west of it, it doesn't matter where I look. Yeah, you can see here. Right here. Right here. And these two fires will connect all these previously burned land. And they'll share fuel together. Fires will rage. But I'm really surprised on the amount of burned areas that we're seeing here. All these fires have been just over the last few days. And it's pretty abnormal. Take a look. South Sudan and southern Chad. So yeah, this area that we're looking at here, you can see the temperature gauge is 102 degrees tomorrow. All the way south of Chad, it's going to be 105. This little heat wave right here, as well as different areas in Ethiopia that we looked at around the outskirts, had some fires, but that doesn't mean that there weren't any within the countryside. Nigeria here, we look at Chad so far, we've only looked at this area right here, north of Sahara. Not giving an impression of wind, the way it breaks across. Blast out of the Mediterranean Sea, goes over Libya. and it just rips out so much air over the Suez Canal into the Persian Gulf. See that? This is just over our heads, not mine. This is the other side of the planet. It's real high up there. Sometimes the storm escapes and it's trouble. In the air, closer to the surface, is not nearly as violent. So these fires that are burning, they have these very slow winds behind them, carrying them throughout the areas of Central Africa. Yes, dust. We can really see an alarming amount of pollution in the air, either from industrial purposes, agricultural purposes, or just plain fires. You can see here that there are quite a few. Let's go back. Just an example of just how fast these fires spread under very short winds right now. It just grows. Over the past few days, so many fires in the area. Chad is seeing a rapid increase in fire behavior. Doba? Well, it's not seeing a lot of these cities and villages and settlements that have fire just outside. Eventually we'll see like a right along the river right there, and the flames are, this looks just like a mirror image of the previous fire that we're looking at that was going over on the other side of the river. But this is heading towards a city. Doba. Okay, that's probably one of the largest fires we've seen. Try to call it a fire since it's a complex of fire. Many active burning points on this fire here. is completely just rampaging. These fires are all over the place. Yep. Huge gains, some of the biggest that we've seen yet. These are all within the last 24 hours. All of these scans within the last 12 hours, sorry, not 24 hours. So many fields burned. I mean, it's undoubtedly due to agricultural purposes these fields are burning, but it's polluting the entire country and more. This smoke is driving outwards from all these farmlands that are currently burning. Just patchy, spotty burns, but you can't. You're not a wildland fire expert trying to control these fires. These are overrunning the area. Let's say that only 20% is what they meant to burn. It's burning towards an airport, towards the city of Mondo. As an airport that is necessary. One road out, one road in. Very nearby these fires. And as we said, they come up these river systems. You can sneak up here just on the east side of the city, like right over here. Catch the city off guard, cause a fire. Seen that happen in Canada, but wildland firefighting, and evacuating people from these cities, completely different logistics. Firefighting in Africa is interesting. You can't get heavy machinery out to these areas. Muddy river banks. Plus, it's just, they're everywhere. A lot of brush fires, bush fires, and a great deal of agricultural land are being burned across Chad and Central African Republic. These will cause hellish symptoms of respiratory problems. Don't want to burn land that's been tainted by previous crops, because you're burning pesticides, you're just ripping the moisture out of the land. There's no sense in burning it. You're burning it because the grass is there and the weeds. You want to burn those? That doesn't kill it. You're only burning its finger, its appendage that's above that crumb line of the plant. You're not getting the bulbs. You're not getting what's in the ground. That's why you got till. But if fire is really that much easier, it's not worth it. It's the kind of burns we're seeing here. Let's say 8% of the fires that we're seeing were originally only supposed to be what was being burned. We're seeing an alarming amount of fires that look to be originated around industrial agricultural land fields. And this just keeps going. And it just gets put out just on the outskirts of the city. But there are fires that are burning, tiny fires. These can simply just overwhelm the population. Especially this is fire sneaking through the south now. Gonna go and try it again. Right here. Massive. Ooh. Pretty gnarly fires in this area. This is all still south of Chad. We're still in Chad. Either these are wildfires that originated elsewhere that just burned all these fields. I don't think it's that way. It's definitely the fields were being burned first. Agricultural problems, pollution of these lands due to smoke. Nothing thrives under smoke. You blanket a local ecology with smoke, a city, a settlement, they're going to have problems. It's not a question of if. The only reason that, like, if you're curious, it's the only way the wind is blowing is going to affect it. That should be manslaughter. Many counts. Many, many, many. Because whoever the hell is burning these crops, they just got out of control. I don't mean crops, like fields for agricultural purposes being burned are spreading fires all across Central Africa, especially Chad, especially Central African Republic and Cameroon, and threatening a country of over 230 million people, Nigeria. There are. What is happening? We're still. Like, I just need to come back up a little bit further. Now, whenever we said that the scan was perfectly in Chad, this is what we meant. The scan is getting all top to bottom of border to border, north to south. But we've only looked here, here, and here. That's it so far. I'm seeing fires burn here, here. So let's say Chad is seeing a dramatic increase in fire activity. Just look at this. This is take a look at this area here. So relatively fire free, and this is November 26th all the way to the 21st. It's today. They already had their day and night. Very dark, black, sooty smoke. can see fire there. This is not an animation of fire. This is not data to represent a fire. You're seeing an actual fire boundary of wildfire in southern Chad, Africa. That is a wild line. Can't see how much this fire has been burning. Just that one line right here on all of this other land here. Just within the last couple of days, these fires are running for dozens of kilometers at a time. Because it's not just a fire burning everything at once. It's not just all of a sudden all this is on fire. What's happening is that the fire is acting like a carriage return on a typewriter. Does a column, comes back. Does a column, and comes back. Either the source ignition still hot, or just at some point the fire transitions into another row and it just burns out. It burns out that way and it burns back. It's kind of what we're seeing here. It's massive fires. So let's say 12 kilometers. Every time this fire eats a row, we just looked at the time lapse. So we saw like the fire, the way it advanced is just an explosion. But that's just in between the slides that we can see. There are some dates missing. Alright. These are the most recent scans, Chad. And we're seeing substantial fire activity that is looking to be more endemic due to whatever they're doing to rotate crops or to create more land for crops. It's not working, and it's burning countryside and causing smoke to mar the countryside. I can't even believe this is unreal, the amount of fire that we're seeing here. A lot of this is scorched earth, but you can still see the little nips of fire. We're not even out of Melfi. Waiting for it to load, I apologize. Explosions of fire, maiming the land. Large body of water here. Yao. Kokoro. Seeing just so many fires in between civilization. Just hope that these fires don't continue to ruin the countryside. Now we get further north. Start getting more into the desert. Chad. There's a striking difference. Fires can still exist across these landscapes. Just in that southern area of Chad where it's just the last refuge of plants are being burned. Volcano. And we get into more of the desert. So that looks like it's it for Chad. Let's go back to false color just to make sure. Yep. Okay, well, next stream, we'll continue on looking at the Central Africa region. It's currently having an extreme outbreak of wildfires. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate it and it helps immensely. Take care of yourself.